This is the I Read Comic Books podcast. This week, I am your host, Kara Szymborski, and I am joined by two cursed frogmen. Welcome, Nick White.
Hey.
And Zach McCrary.
Good day.
I am delighted to be here with y'all today because I think Mike gave me this episode as a gift, because the older I get, the more I realize like how much of a Halloween person I am. Like, I always liked Halloween, but the older I get, the more I'm like, Halloween is starting to eclipse Christmas in terms of my like holiday canon. So, and this week we are talking about a very excellent theme. We're talking about spooky stories, which is our Goodreads book of the month theme. So I am all about it. I'm here to get into it. But before we do, I've got my Mike mandated question that we ask every week. How are you? How have comic books been? Let's start with you, Zach.
I mean, it's my time of the year. Fall is, seeping in. It's colder. We were talking before the show. It's beanie hoodie weather, but I can still wear shorts and people don't think I'm psychotic yet. As they will when it's like negative degrees outside. And also, I'm very much with you. Like, the spooky season is my season. I really don't care about any holidays except for Halloween. I don't know why. Maybe I was scarred as a child at some point. but Halloween is my holiday. I love dressing up. I am now loving taking my kid trick-or-treating. That is so much fun. I dress up too, because it's an excuse to, so. And also, I love horror. Like, I read comics. If you listen to this show and I've been on, I read a lot of horror comics anyway. So this is great for me. I'm so glad that Mike put me on this episode, because this is definitely my jam. Yeah,
Which is meant to be. But like, Absolutely. Do you have like a core Halloween tradition that you think of when you think of Halloween, or is it just like every year you mix it up a little bit?
It's a little different every year, but I always try to at least get to one Halloween party, because I need an excuse to dress up. I need an excuse to find a costume and get dressed up. Maybe it's the pro wrestling fan in me. I just want to get into a costume and be someone else for an hour. But it's a lot of fun. And I always try to get creative with my costumes. Like one year I was Count Trumpula, and I was like, it's pretty obvious the fusion dance that I did with that costume. So I was like a very orange vampire, and it was a lot of fun. And
probably my most creative costume that I ever did was also a vampire costume. And this is so
You're
niche. And
say
I think
also Donald Trump.
No. I kind of have the hair going today, so and I think our patrons might have heard me tell this story already on the Comixology episode that Mike and Tia and I did a while back. But like, we had a lot of our parlance at working at Comixology was like you determined your workload by the number of like pages in a comic book that you were processing or selecting the guided view on. So it's like that we kind of knew roughly how long it would take you to do like X number of pages. So that's how workloads were allocated. So we talked a lot about page count. I think you can see where this is going. So for Halloween,
clearly Donald Trump. Yeah.
So for
Halloween, most pages. No one can use as many pages as I can.
My favorite passage of the Bible. I can't decide. Sorry.
So it's okay. So like my final day at Comixology was we were doing a Halloween party. So I dressed up like way vampiric. I had like a vampy dark dress on. I had like a cloak, and to the cloak, I had safety pinned a bunch of like loose comic book pages, and I went around just going, "I am the page count."
I love that.
Very proud of that one. Every other year, I'm usually just like a witch or a cat or whatever, but that was like I brought creativity and awareness to
I respect it. I love it. I love it.
That's like very only for the office costume, because like you take it outside of the office and it's like I can't explain.
You have to explain it. It's over.
Yeah, I can't.
So you're in your element now, Zach. This is your time to shine.
Yes, and this was a great excuse for me to finally sit down and fully complete a book called The Bone Orchard Mythos Tenement from Image Comics, because for some reason I just never got around to finishing it. And I don't know why, because I love everything Bone Orchard Mythos. So it's written by Jeff Lemire, art by Andrea Sorrentino, colors by Dave Stewart, letters by Steve Wands. And if you don't know about this, I'm never shy about how much I absolutely love every single thing that's been done by Jeff Lemire and Sorrentino as a duo, and even more when they get Dave Stewart involved, to make the Triforce complete, like Primordial and Gideon Falls and pretty much everything.
When they steal him out of Mike Mignola's basement,
every so often
when they unshackle him from the misery desk,
yeah, they lease him for like
free.
a couple months. Mignola gave you a sock, you're free. But if you're not aware, anyone out there, the Bone Orchard Mythos was like a shared universe of standalone horror stories written by Lemire and illustrated by Sorrentino. Each story explored like a different facet of the same overarching unseen mythology, like one-shots, graphic novels, maxi series, miniseries, all horror with like a psychological bend, all in a shared universe with like some eldritch horror-y elements like sprinkled in and connections that have not been explained until Tenement. Like this is like the beginning of them explaining like the actual mythos and like what is going on behind the scenes, what powers are, at large kind of thing. And the story is about 7 people living in the same apartment building who all somehow are mystically connected and allow for a doorway to open to somewhere else, somewhere just less fun. So we follow,
you're not wrong. That's it. Yeah.
It's less fun. That is, it's not a great time. We follow them as they attempt to survive this nightmare world. The young boy in the group, Isaac, has some connection to the older man, Felix, and Felix seems to know what's going on here and is okay with it. He knows that Isaac has an important role to play in the events that'll follow, and we don't know what. We also learn that Felix is obsessed with getting to a place called the Silver City. So Tenement it's a solid horror comic with a lot of characters to flesh out in a short amount of time. It's only like 10 issues. Ensemble books aren't easy, but Lemire manages to give you just enough about everyone to kind of understand what they're coming from as people and why they make decisions that they do. And the horror elements of the story are they're all so well done. It's a journey story, a chase story, a story about a bunch of strangers with different lives coming together with one goal. They're like the fellowship of let's get the fuck out of here is basically what this story is. They keep coming up against these evil red people who take different forms and can like look like them. And there are certain rituals that need to be done that make certain other things happen, trying to keep it spoiler free. But yeah, there's like a kind of a game of death thing going on too, as their tenement building is tied to this world and they have to go through like different floors to get where they're going. And we also finally start getting answers to things that folks like me who are eating up all the Bone Orchard books like have been waiting for. We start getting that actual mythos of the Bone Orchard mythos. Stuff starts to make a little sense, and it also leaves some ominous questions in place. And the art of this book is just phenomenal. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Andrea Sorrentino's art, but it does it for me.
How would you describe the art style?
It's like dirty, gritty, and kind of real. Like his people look real. It looks like he took photos of people and drew over them. I'm not saying he did that, but like his people look real and his landscapes look real. And then when he gets crazy with it and starts like eldritching it up and making it like horror and like it really adds to it. And I feel like it really draws me in. Like his books draw me in a lot because there is that element of realism to them and the way that he draws. Even when he did like Old Man Logan, it was weird seeing his rendition of Apocalypse, because it's like that's an apocalypse that could kind of happen, like could look like that. It's but yeah, I love his stuff. People like him and Alex Maleev. I love that kind of dirty, gritty style. But his stuff, he's also really good at getting kind of whacked out and out there, which I appreciate. He anything he
his
especially
panel
stuff
layouts.
Yes, his layouts
absolutely freaking insane. Like the Gideon Falls stuff when they go into the what is it, the Black Barn, and the page the page layouts just get absolutely bonkers. Yeah. Yeah.
And that combination of like the realistic looking like people and places and then the whacked out layouts, it really works for horror. And that's why Gideon Falls was so amazing.
Do you think that the layouts, like, are they there just for aesthetics, or are they like helping change your interpretation of the story?
Oh no, like everything is done for a reason. Like what his layouts and the way that he puts things together, and like everything is there for a reason and to lead you into what's next and what's happening in the story. Like there's even times where he literally will put like a red circle or square around something that is like small and minute but could be important if you're paying attention, kind of stuff. Like, so he draws attention to things with the way he lays things out.
Artists do not get paid enough.
I swear, I totally agree.
Yeah. I've definitely seen other panel, artists that use their panel layouts, and it just sort of feels like a unnecessary stunt or something. But Sorrentino is just amazing. Zach, this is just fascinating for me because obviously I do read a lot of Lemire. I started Bone Orchard. Interestingly, Tenement partway through is actually kind of where I stopped. So it's sort of fascinating to see, to hear you finish it. Bone Orchard for me, it was slow to see it kind of come together, but I know that the interesting conceit, right? What a tightrope to walk is, everything is standalone, but also everything is interconnected, right? Mm-hmm. I think that was like the big promise at the beginning was that you could pick up any of the parts, whether it was that initial one shot, right? That was like about the weird lighthouse and like the bottomless pit on that island or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it was the Passage, I think it was called.
Yeah, and then like 10,000 Black Feathers about the girl who draws that fantasy world that also she escapes into or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm vaguely remembering some of this now. Which that was really, really weird because you saw Sorrentino doing double duty, drawing the book as well as like the people reading the book. And that was just so fascinating to see him take on a different style. Sorrentino is amazing. My one issue I have with Lemire that I think this book kind of crystallized this idea for me was that Lemire has 7 people he loves working with. Nothing wrong with that. The guy is friends. I'm not going to get too mad at him for it, right? But it feels like him and Sorrentino have just been doing tonally the same thing for I don't know. It just feels like a while. I loved Gideon Falls though. I think that was maybe my issue is I loved Gideon Falls and I was like, let's move and do something different next. And then he's like, what if we kind of do, and you can disagree with me, the same thing.
I know. I'm just laughing because you sound like every single Swiftie who's like, Taylor Swift needs to stop working with Jack Antonoff. You're using the same arguments, just for a different creative team.
I get it. I talk about this all the time. It's a fickle, unfair assessment to have because if you do the same thing, then it's well, you're derivative, and if they do something different and they fail, then it's well, why would you do that, right? So it's right. I don't know.
I don't necessarily disagree with you that they went from Gideon Falls into Bone Orchard Mythos, and there are definitely some, you can hear the same tunes in the new song,
Sure.
I know that what they were trying to go for was they had such success with Gideon Falls, and I think they just enjoyed doing it and working together on it so much that they were like, what if we just went batshit crazy with what we did there and just completely
tried to build our own thing.
And that was, and unfortunately it didn't work out because the sales weren't good and there's no more Bone Orchard stuff happening. So
it wasn't for lack of trying, right? You can't fault them for ambition. But it was kind of like when Lemire was doing Descender with Nguyen, right? And he finishes and I'm like, all right, let's do something different. And he's like, I'm doing Ascender, and it's no, that's not
different direction though, Nick. Different direction.
Yeah, we're going up now.
We can only go up from here. Okay, Jeff, we get it. Good joke. No. Now I'm curious. Do you feel Tenement is standalone in your opinion?
Yeah, you could totally read this, and
okay.
I think you could read this as the first installment of the Bone Orchard Mythos, because then you would be able to get an idea of the mythos from the beginning and then go read the other stuff and kind of see a loose thread. You know what I mean?
So you can either choose the publication order where it's like unfolding and you can kind of start to make some connections in your own opinion, or you can start with, here's some groundwork, and now you can go and see. Okay. That's interesting.
It makes me sad that there's not going to be more of this, because they were finally starting to get to lay it all out. And I feel like he said himself that was the problem, was that it was a hard sell for retailers, because they couldn't really like give people a specific thing to latch onto about it, because it was like an anthology, but it was a weird anthology because it's like, well, this is a graphic novel, this is 5 issues, this is 10 issues, this is a one shot, you know, like, and it was all different. So it's a harder sell.
I wonder if they should have just like gone directly through like the book publication route and been like, here's a trade, it's the first in an interconnected series, because book readers, I think, are more used to that, maybe,
rather than going with single issues. I think single issues was absolutely a mistake for something like this.
Well, like the weirdest thing is that this series kicked off with I wouldn't even call it an oversized one shot or an OG. It was somewhere weird in the middle. It was like 90 pages. It was this weird 90-page thing. And it was like, I remember it was like $18 or something. And so right out of the gate, everyone is like, I don't know.
But it started with a free comic book day one shot. And then there was like the almost graphic
that was
novel.
The best part, Garrett, because I don't think it ever got republished. So like the first part of this canon, like many people.
Yeah, it was they really tried something different and it just didn't work. And it's a shame.
It sounds like they just like didn't have the right audience. Like they thought their audience was comic book fans who are used to going to a shop and like that hardcore center, but really they needed to look for like, are you a horror fan? Are you a genre fan? Like, is like this? I don't know. It sounds like I see what they were doing, but it feels like this should have been maybe released in larger chunks and been more intentional about like, this is all connected. See how this is.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think part of it was they were just obviously, and I don't think this is wrong, they were just banking on grabbing all of the Gideon Falls readers and just taking them along for the ride. And I think to some extent that worked, but then you have people like me who were like, oh, I don't know, like $18 for, I don't know, guys. So,
even with me, like a professed, like, this is my team in comics. It's like, I don't know who, like, if I had to do a numbers 1 and 2, it'd be like Tom King and Mitch Gerrards, and then Sorrentino and Lemire. Those are my 2 teams. Like anything they put out, I'm gonna read it. You know, they shit in a bag, I'm gonna sniff it at least once to see what it's like.
Okay.
Well, on that note,
what a say.
Not literally.
What a
in
say.
Comics. In comics. But like even for me, like I didn't finish this until it was like, oh, I can finally finish this for the show. Let's do it. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I did let this conversation go on a little bit longer than we normally might have, because I personally was riveted. But we will be here all day if we keep going like this. Nick, can you possibly summarize what you read and enjoyed?
Absolutely not.
Me and Nick together is never good to keep a show short.
Yeah.
Are you a Halloween guy, Nick?
I'm not the biggest Halloween guy, but since I'm living closer to some of my other family, like my niece is absolutely crazy about Halloween, or the spookies as she calls them, and she's always wanting to see all of the inflatable spookies in everyone's yard, and if they're deflated, then we just have to quickly deflect to they're sleeping, it's fine, they're sleeping. And that's great. That's been a lot of fun. We're always the family's always asking her, you know, oh, what should so and so be for Halloween? What should so and so be? And when we get to my sister, my niece always goes, oh, a witch, every time.
Nice.
Like we've asked her multiple times just to see if she could switch this up. No, it's always witch. So
she's got a clear vision.
So Molly is really mad at this point. Yeah, it's been good. It's been really weird. I mean, I feel like the old man shouting at the sky, but like I remember going into like Target back in like August, and they already had like a fake big castle where they had all the Halloween candy already, you know, good to go there. So what a weird and jarring experience. But I did read a book. I read Red Book #1. I believe I talked about this book maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. This is from Dark Horse, script by James Tynan IV, art by Michael Avon Oeming, letters by Tom Napolitano. I've come on the show. I've sort of said, hey, it feels like James is sort of hitting the quantity more than the quality end of the spectrum lately. He's putting out a lot of books. He's obviously got his big Tiny Onion imprint. That's clearly doing very, very well for him. And the last couple offerings haven't really tickled my fancy. But look, you got to do what you got to do to stay in comics, right? So, I'm not going to fault James for not wanting to be a starving artist. We all know, just how precipitously one, needs to hang on to that ledge to stay in comics, and it's just so easy for people to just leave. So, but as far as Red Book is concerned, I think this is really solid. I think this is a much better effort than some of the other books I've seen from James lately. It is a carryover from Blue Book, which also ran at Dark Horse from 2023 to 2024. And if Blue Book was concerned about all things cryptozoological, all things supernatural, all things UFOs during the Cold War, Red Book basically flips that and shows us the other side of the Cold War, and says, well, what was going on during that period in Russia? What was going on in China, and such. And the first issue, well, if you want to do something spooky, you really can't get much more spooky than the Dyatlov Pass incident, which you know about if you, listen to...
I don't know about it.
Oh, good. You're going to learn a little and maybe wish that was too much. We'll see. I will try to keep it a little sanitized
points, Nick.
for time and also for content. But basically, you've got this group of hikers. They are students at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They set out on a hike on January 27th, 1959. They're trying to go on this hike to get certified as a higher grade, professional hiker. And I think that allows you to climb on different mountains. They basically end up, they tell the sporting group that they're part of with their university, we'll send a telegram when we come back to town, right? So they leave on January 27th. They say we'll send the telegram by February 12th. Obviously, it doesn't come. Why? Because it's one of those stories. Of course it is.
No.
By February 20th, their relatives demand that there's a rescue effort. This ramps up massively. And on February 26th, 6 days later, the question of just where the hikers were gets answered. The question of just what the ever-loving fuck happened to these hikers, that's a new question. Here are some weird, mysterious things that are discovered and are just absolutely laid out really wonderfully well by this creative team. At the campsite, the tents are torn from the inside as if people were trying to escape. The footprints that lead from the tents show that some had been barefoot or only wearing socks when they got out of the tents. When the hikers themselves are found, the first two, 1,600 feet away, they were only clad in their underwear. It would be May before the rest of them completely were found. Many of them had skull fractures. 2 of them had chest injuries that investigators said were a similar impact to being in a car accident. And 2 of them, their bodies emitted high traces of radiation. Pretty weird stuff. Why did they leave without their clothes or gear? Why did they split up when they left? Why did they never return to the campsite? People, like real fucking squares, have been like, well, it might have been a slab avalanche. Okay, fine. Get out of here. Quit ruining this party.
Well, isn't it like a symptom of hypothermia where you get
clothes.
Your body has a reverse reaction to what you think.
You don't want to know the truth. You don't want to know the truth. You're ruining everything. Get out of here. Put on your tinfoil hat or leave.
We don't need your damn logic, Spock.
Wait a minute. So is this comic nonfiction, or
It's
is this like a fictional spin?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have
Nick.
No. I'm just funny. I'm remembering now. We had Paul on for Blue Book. Paul is proofing this right now, and Paul had the moment of realization where, if I'm remembering this right, we had to tell Paul that it was real. That this was real. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is nonfiction. This is nonfiction events and alleged nonfiction events in equal part, if that helps.
I don't know about this.
Based on a true story.
Right. So those are some of the weirder theories, but then sure, aliens get brought in, government experiments get brought in. But then there are some truly strange theories because of all of the stuff that they abandoned and left in their tents. They found a camera on one of the guy's bodies, and the pictures are weird, and they hint at some explanations that are even more out there.
The radiation fucked with the film, Nick. There's a completely logical explanation
different people,
here.
Kara. Different person. Different person.
I will say that when you said aliens, all I could think of was that meme of that dude going, aliens.
Oh, yeah. The guy for History Channel or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a really weird, bizarre incident. I think it's also sort of fascinating that obviously we're looking at incidents from within the USSR. So in as much as the US government may have not really wanted or shared or, whatever when it came to Roswell or weird discussions about the people who want to talk about the moon landing not happening, right? Obviously, when it comes to the USSR, they were obviously very good at covering up a lot of these things or not letting things, not allowing people to have access to files and whatnot, right? So yeah, fascinating stuff, very creepy, very weird, still a lot of question marks on this. I don't want to get down the rest of the road, but there are some other very odd things about this case that I think would probably pique your interest. But again, as I've said before, Oeming is amazing. He's an absolute lights out artist. Either you love his stuff or you never want to see it again. I can't get enough of it.
Well, you're definitely, I mean, both of you made your picks sound really interesting, even though I don't normally gravitate towards horror. So I appreciate your descriptions.
Yeah, it's really good. I would say also, just for people that are picking up this book, if you liked the True Weird series that we've seen before with Blue Book, where it's got a story at the back, which is not composed of fiction and alleged nonfiction, but is actually strictly nonfiction. Those stories are back. And the first contributor is a friend of the show and zine contributor Malachi Ward. Really, really good story. I don't want to talk about it at all because the way he lays it out is so creative that if I discuss it at all, it will ruin it for people that even have the slightest idea about it. Go check it out. It's really, really, really creatively well done. I can't speak to it at all because of the way he lays out the story. So yeah, it's very clever. It's very clever. Yeah.
I will say I am an absolute sucker for shut up and read it.
Yeah. I can't touch this story at all because of the way he lays it out. It's
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of went halfway between the two of you without meaning to, because I decided to revisit Hellboy for this episode. And I know and by we I mean Nick talks about Hellboy with like frequency on this show, but I first read the Hellboy comics maybe 10 years ago now, and I got them all out from the library in trade form and absolutely devoured them, and they like stuck in my brain to the point where I was like, I must own these. And I'm very like, if I want to buy a book, I want it to look nice. So I was excited that they were doing like the library edition. So I spent the last 10 years like slowly buying the Hellboy library editions, which are these like beautiful oversized hardbacks with like the embossed titles and shit like that. And then I realized that I hadn't actually reread them. And I'm just like, I've just been like hoarding these very expensive books and not reading them. I should probably revisit. So for this episode, I was like, what a great excuse to revisit the beginning of Hellboy. So I read the Seed of Destruction trade, which is the first like Hellboy like collected story. I think there were like a few one shots like prior to that being published, but it was really interesting to see like what I had remembered and what I had not remembered from this, because it is like the Hellboy origin story. Hellboy being this like, if for those of you who don't know, Hellboy
been under
is
a
like
rock for
2
decades.
Whoever hasn't seen the films, Hellboy is kind of like he looks like a devil. He's like oversized and like muscular and red, and he's got these like cut off what used to be horns on his head. He's got one hand that's made of stone. And so this origin story is like, you're essentially seeing a bunch of Nazis performing an arcane ritual, and that summons Hellboy, but he gets summoned to a spot where like the US and the UK like paranormal services are waiting to collect him, so he like grows up in that sphere of influence. So this is kind of like you see how he appears for the first time, and then we fast forward a bunch of decades to his father figure that like rescued him or collected him on this mission, dying because he went on a weird paranormal expedition, which is part of his job, and came back like a little he's like not really making sense with what he's saying. He's really upset that he can't remember what he wanted to tell Hellboy. So Hellboy then has to like go investigate what happened to cause his father figure's death. And this is like, I definitely remembered the Nazis and I didn't remember anything else. So it was nice to go in and just be like, as I was reading it, I remembered more of it, but there was a bunch of stuff where I was just like, I totally forgot about this. This is so exciting. It's like reading a new book. So
you were like, frogs? Really? Frogs?
So many frogs.
Gosh.
But like Mike Mignola makes frogs look heckin' creepy. All right.
Yeah, that's for real. Yeah.
And there was like, I recently learned about this term emotional memory, and it's basically like you have, like, if you're thinking about your memory, you're thinking about like who were you talking to, what were you saying, like where were you, like those more like concrete things. And your emotional memory is like, even when some of those details are gone, your emotional memory is like what you were feeling at the time. So this is like related in an extreme way to like PTSD, because PTSD and similar experiences, that's like that emotional memory is so strong in you that you're like right back there in that moment feeling all those feelings if you get triggered. And then like in a less extreme version, that's like when you were younger, you might not remember the details of being at your grandparents' house, but you remember that you liked being there and that it was a safe place and that you felt happy there. So it's like, it's those more intangibles. All this to say that Hellboy for me is a comic book series that I have a strong emotional memory for, because like I didn't remember all of these details, but I remembered like the atmosphere, because Mike Mignola is so fucking good at making an atmosphere. He uses a lot of like black and dark tones in his art. There's a lot of like panels that zoom in on a detail that like make it a creepy beat or like add emphasis to what the words were in the previous panel. So I remembered the atmosphere of it being like the dark, creeping corners of the world and the things that we don't quite understand or know about. And like Hellboy's approach to all of this, like the shadows and the mysticism, whatever, is to just punch things or like shove grenades down people's throats and stuff like that. So it's a very like superhero approach to the arcane. So I was saying like, oh, it's kind of like halfway between what the two of you read, because it's like, there's like, we know that the Nazis were into, or like Hitler at least was into these more like, oh, if I do this like supernatural thing, maybe it will turn the tide of the war, like see the Indiana Jones movies. So it's like that. But something that I always also liked about the Hellboy series, and why I was like, I can buy these, is like there is an overarching plot, and you do learn more about Hellboy's backstory as you continue reading, but it's like really more about these like specific adventures that he's going on. So like you could pick up most Hellboy trades and be totally fine just going in and being like, big red creature going to punch monsters, magic involved, shadows, darkness. So
I do love that about Hellboy stuff, is like just the ability to pick up whatever and jump right in.
Yeah. So it was a very nice opportunity to revisit this thing that like I know I liked, and to see like, yes, I did like this for these reasons, and also now I want to keep reading because I've got the details back, and now I'm just like, Rasputin, what are you doing here?
Yeah, you do not seem ideologically and politically aligned with the rest of these other people. Yeah.
No. And this is like, it's like kind of like Hellboy does a lot of like, we're playing the long game, because these like supernatural things sometimes are unfolding over centuries or millennia, and then Hellboy shows up and he's like, cool, I'm gonna punch it in the face.
Yeah.
But so I really enjoyed getting to revisit that.
Yeah, volume 1 is such a fascinating read for me, just because I hate saying this because everybody loves to. Have we gotten out of this point now where everyone goes, "Oh, just skip volume 1. Volume 2 is so much better. Just skip it." Volume 1 of Hellboy is so weird, right? Because they bring on John Byrne, at least from what I remember, admittedly, because I don't remember if it was either Mike's feelings or if it was his editor's feelings, but they were like, dude, you've been doing art for so long, like we want to transition you into this book, like maybe you need a writing chaperone or whatever, right? I don't remember the exact details, but I think it's somewhere along these lines. And so Byrne gets attached to the book, and to be honest, I think Byrne ruins the book. It's definitely so much wordy. Prose heavy than once once Byrne exits, it definitely gets less prose heavy, and you, in my opinion, and you feel like Mike Mignola is like, dude, I fucking got this. I'm already drawing the book. I know what I'm trying to do. Anyway, that's my take.
It is very it definitely front loads a lot more details than you would get in the rest of the series. I think they were almost like, oh my God, we have to grab everyone's attention right away. So there was, I think it feels like there was a desire to like make it all make sense to keep you coming back. And then they leave like kind of on a cliffhanger, but it's not like an aggressive cliffhanger. Like I wasn't mad about it. It didn't feel like a cheap ploy. It felt like, oh, ... what happens next? Whereas if they had just put out like Mike Mignola in charge of Hellboy with like more of those like beats and creeping shadows and less dialogue, I could see how that would feel like a big risk to the publisher. So I understand what they were getting to. And also, yes, Seed of Destruction is an atypical Hellboy story.
Yeah, it's like, especially the beginning of the book, when it's very much in trying to introduce him, and they're like, well, we found him in the war, and then we raised him and whatever. It's like, that does not, especially the more you read Mike Mignola, you're like, this was written by Byrne. This was like almost certainly written by Byrne, or at least edited or gone over by Byrne. I think you're right. I'm sure Byrne's name on the book probably helped allay any fears some people probably had of like, well, I mean, Mignola was obviously really pretty well established, I think, with DC and at least somewhat with Marvel at the time. But yeah, in terms of him helming or writing a book, putting Byrne might calm some people, I guess. I don't know.
But of course, hindsight 2020, and we look at that now, I'm like, boy, that was fucking dumb. Like, of course Mike was fine.
yeah Let this guy cook, or whatever the kids say. Let this guy cook. Skibbity toilet, right? I don't
6,
know.
7.
Nick, you're too old for that. All right. No. Well, we're going to talk about what's on the top of our pile. What are we reading next? We've got some of our fabulous listeners in the Discord chat sharing what they are reading next. We've got Jeff reading Star Trek 2022 Volume 3, Bone and Glass, which frankly sounds like a fantasy story that you could buy in a bookstore. So I'm curious. Paul G is reading Lake Yellowwood Slaughter, which is sounds perfectly on brand for the theme of the month. And Danny is reading TMNT number 12. And I personally think that TMNT is always in season. So this sounds like an A-list of what's top of everyone's piles. But how about the rest of this squad? Nick, what's the top of your pile this week?
Well, I mean, I suppose after discussing Mike Mignola earlier, I guess we just gotta just the Mike Mignola train. I guess
continue. We'll just
why
go
not?
on.
Mike Mignola all the time, every day, 24/7. So my pick is Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time, story by Mike Mignola and Bruce Zick. Art and colors by Bruce Zick, and letters by Clem Robbins, because it's a Mike Mignola book, so therefore Clem Robbins. Where's Dave Stewart? Clearly he's over working with Jeff Lemire on something. Yeah, he's on leave. He'll be back. Together. Don't worry. They'll get him. They'll find him. They'll put that ankle bracelet back on, I swear. So this is another title from Mike Mignola's fairly recent imprint called Curious Objects, which... Not to digress a little, but we already talked about Red Book and conspiracy theory, so I am a little curious about this whole thing. At first, I thought this imprint was just being used for his Lands Unknown universe that he came out with, I think, last year with Patrick Reynolds. But then I started thinking, I've seen this imprint on a lot of books, and then I was like, wait, this imprint is just on all Mike Mignola books now. What's going on? And then I was like, well, isn't that also true of Matt Kint's books through Flux House at Dark Horse? I don't know. It's weird. Like, I just started Googling this a little, and within the last 3 years, a bunch of major creators, Mignola, obviously, Matt Kint, obviously, but then also Stan Sakai, who of course does Usagi Yojimbo, and Kevin Smith, who has done some, I think it's mainly been Jay and Silent Bob fare, I don't remember. They've all basically created their own imprint at Dark Horse. They all seem to be exclusively at Dark Horse, and all of their stuff seems to be flowing through these imprints. I don't know. I just found that kind of weird. Like, I guess when I always think of imprints, I'm thinking of some of the Image ones where the imprint is more tonally based or genre based. There's sort of an overarching theme or idea under which the imprint operates, and it's not just like, these are all my books, I am using this. So I don't know. I found that kind of weird. Maybe this is just like a creator rights thing where Dark Horse is like, if you want to retain rights or something, you've got to create another company that's your imprint. I don't know. I guess it was just a weird moment where I was like, wait, this is all of Mignola's books coming through here. Why? I don't know. Random tangent. These are the things I guess I notice and care about. If anybody has any thoughts or insight into this, let me know. I just found that curious. No pun intended. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I thought that was just kind of bizarre. I assume it's just a legal thing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could be just Dark Horse is trying to kind of move in that direction of kind of like what Image does, where not everything is just Dark Horse comics. It is kind of, splintered so that you can be like, over here is this guy's stuff, over here's that guy's stuff. Maybe they're just
DC Black Label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you more of an expectation. Like if you watch an A24 movie, you kind of have an idea of the vibe that you're going for. So if they can have more of a like, this is the vibe you are going to get if you get a book with this imprint.
And I guess kind of maybe I was going to say, like, in the past for Mike Mignola, it's like, why do you need to put a label? Because it's just all Hellboy verse. But I guess since he's especially been branching out the last 2 or 3 years, maybe it is sort of helpful to have that stamp on it. I don't know. Regardless, this book, as far as this book goes, Bruce Zick was a new name for me. I'd certainly never heard of him before, but Mike has a real habit of bringing in all sorts of creators from all different areas of the world or different fields or backgrounds, and so that wasn't that surprising to me. Zick is actually got a very interesting background. He was a development artist on Inside Out. He was a character designer on Pocahontas. He worked as a character designer on Lion King. He worked on Iron Giant, Titan AE. Yeah,
those are some solid credits.
Yeah. And he's done some comics. He's done some Thor work. He's done some Dark Horse Presents. So the guy definitely has a very interesting background, and the art it falls almost even a little outside of what I would consider the Mike Mignola stable of like Hellboy adjacent artists. He's actually just a little bit different. As far as the book's story goes, this is not within the Hellboy verse, as far as I know. Mike Mignola is juggling 3 universes at this point, so I get confused regularly. Which is also weird because Witchfinder is in this book. So who fucking knows, okay? But here's the basic plot. It's 1880s London. You've got these family members. They've got this father figure, Sir Walter. He's recently departed. They call on Sir Edward Grey. He's known as Witchfinder. Witchfinder's a great series of books. Check it out. But obviously he's the Queen's supernatural investigator, right? That's the role he's been entrusted with. I think it's Queen Victoria at this point. Karat's going to be like, how dare you not know this? Yes.
How dare you not know, Nick?
Exactly. That's exactly. So why are they calling him? Because their dad's spirit, instead of making a beeline for the hereafter, has housed itself in one of his old hunting trophies, a polar bear to be exact. And as is... Yeah, right. I mean,
know anything else?
What an elevator! I'm sure that was the 2-minute call with Mike Mignola. Yeah, so there's like a dead guy and the polar bear. All right, that's good. Hang up. I got to do lunch. All right, bye. But as is requisite for every eccentric, titled Englishman with money and free time abounding, Sir Walter's son has been hard at work on a suit that allows one to pierce the veil and reach out to the shadow realm beyond our world and the great beyond, or between our world and the great beyond. And don't worry, he thinks that like booting his dad out of the bear would be a perfect test case for this suit. Don't worry, as a rich, wealthy, aristocratic British guy, he's found a middle class guy who's going to take on the real danger and actually do the work. And that's Captain Henry, an unemployed ex-soldier in need of a job. Of course, the suit fucking goes crazy, and the good captain ends up having to fight a giant bipedal grandfather clock. Amongst other things. It's like he's fighting what was the clock from Beauty and the Beast? Cogsworth, yes, Cogsworth, right. So imagine Cogsworth on HGH and listening to too much of the Joe Rogan podcast.
I don't know if I like that combination.
DMT, man.
He's going to try to sell Captain Henry supplements by the end of this issue, I assure you.
How long is this book? Is this a 1-issue book, Nick? This is a lot for 30 pages.
This is a mini series. Okay. And the art is just it's fantastic. Show up for the art. The plot, like I said, I know that sounds wild, but as far as Mike Mignola books go, pretty standard fare.
Pretty standard.
But the art is really, really good, and it has it's so hard to describe. It looks of the era in some ways. Like if you were to look at pictures or posters or drawings or sort of like the sketches done in like newspapers from like the, something you would see that would basically come off of a printing press, right? With wood blocks almost. It looks of the era. The faces almost have like a very like, I realize it's printed page, but the faces look very static. They don't look like they animate or move naturally. It's hard to really get at the heart of it, but it's a unique style. I enjoy it. Like I said, Mike is always good at bringing out these people I've just never seen before that are just fantastic, and Bruce Zick is no exception to that rule. So if you're looking for something that's different, and if you're looking for something that is approachable, I would say check it out. No real Hellboy verse experience required. You must not be. It doesn't have the. You must be this steeped in Hellboy lore to get on this ride.
Okay.
Thing. I mean, it's so funny. Edward Gray's in this as Witchfinder, right? They don't ever call him Witchfinder. Like you either know it's him.
Just helpful.
Yeah. You either know it's him by how he looks, or you have no clue.
Well, then it's like, so it's exciting for you because you have read all those, and you're like, oh, that guy. But for like, if somebody who hadn't read any Hellboy picks
it's just
that
another
up,
dude.
it wouldn't matter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
it's pretty clever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have something completely different on the top of my pile, kind of getting us. I would say like getting us away from the spookiness, except what's spookier than the patriarchy? Because top of my pile.
This does not sound fun, but okay.
Top of my pile is a graphic novel called Raging Clouds, by the creator Yudori, one name. Published by Fantagraphics over this summer, and I bought a copy and I need to read it. It's set in the 16th century in the Netherlands, and by excellent coincidence, I recently went to Amsterdam for the first time ever. Thanks, work. Work sent me there. And, so I am curious to now like put this book higher towards the top of my pile, since I have like set a foot down in that country. Now I can be like, let me read a fictional interpretation of things that happened hundreds of years ago there. So our protagonist is an unhappily married woman who feels much happier and freer whenever her husband is out of town. And her husband brings back what is described in the summary as a slave mistress, which I love nothing about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the wife and the slave / mistress basically like team up to like break free of the patriarchy, more or less. But in the description, they also just the summary of this book includes the words lush, erotic, and feminist. So I assume that there's going to be some queerness in there, whether it's them just like yearning for each other or whether anything like physically actually happens with them. But I liked the description of this being more like well-rounded characters that are kind of like pushing the boundaries around them. And I am very like character focused when I'm looking at stories. I'm like less interested in the plot if I care about the characters. So I'm excited to read this. The art is like manga adjacent. So it's like black and white, very like crisp lines, a lot of beautiful detail. So just like looking at the description and a few of the preview pages, I was like, well, I will buy this now, thank you. And I was kind of like, I'm interested to see if it lives up to my high hopes, but also I'm kind of like, even if I don't end up liking it, this is the kind of book that I like am interested in reading. And so this is an instance where I'm like, I will vote with my dollars to tell the publisher that I would like to read stories like this. Please make more of them. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. But yeah, I'm excited to read that. And then Zach, you're gonna round us out because top of your pile is one of my favorite books ever.
Yeah, and I promise I'm not going to talk about pooping in bags anymore. I apologize.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that one back.
Even though we're on the top of the pile. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to read DC The New Frontier, the Black Label edition that came out not too long ago, I think, and written and illustrated by Darwin Cook. Colors, once again, by the incomparable Dave Stewart. Can't miss out on him. Must have been another instance where he was let off the chain. Letters by Jared K. Fletcher. I'm coming in completely blank on this. I don't know anything about this comic. It's one that has been in my queue for a long time, simply because of the name Darwin Cook and the fact that it won Eisner, Harvey, Schuster Awards. So my buddies at Comic Book Keepers, shout out to Chris and Lance, and they're doing it as part of their book club podcast, and I decided that I'd finally crack the spine on the copy and follow along. And from just doing a quick bit of research, so I'd have something to say here, it's and correct me if I'm wrong, Kara, but it seems like it's an in-universe look at the decline of the Golden Age and rise of Silver Age comics through the DC lens. And we see like the DC Trinity, like all the children, the children of the Golden Age, basically meeting up with guys like Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern and Flash. Lots of real world implications, Cold War undertones, McCarthyism, Korean War, that sort of stuff. I mean, the name of the book is taken from a John F. Kennedy speech. So that's, they clearly are playing in real world history.
Didn't know that.
We also get a lot of characters who've never crossed paths over this in this era of comics due to editorial saying, we don't want to have to make sense of all this. Like characters like the Losers and the Blackhawks and Rick Flag, going in with superheroes and stuff like that era. You didn't do that. We see that now, but it's different. So I'm excited to give this one a go. I've never heard anything except praise for it from like all comics or from all corners of the comics verse. So I think it's going to be a fun ride. And Kara, I'm very curious. You said it's one of your favorites. Like, why?
It's one of my favorites because, as you said, there's a lot of like deep cut DC characters in there, and DC Comics is like, that's the superhero universe that I know the most about. And Darwin Cook's art style is just so like retro and beautiful. He does a lot of like it works so well for the time period, since it's that like mid-century like American exceptionalism, like optimistic about the future, all that stuff. And this is I'm mentioning both Taylor Swift and Archie in an episode. I'm back, baby. So like around this time, like the look that you think of for Archie comics, especially for like Betty and Veronica, it was drawn by Dan DeCarlo. So they were like extreme hourglass figures, like big eyes, like very like sexy, like voluptuous, like female silhouettes, kind of like Marilyn Monroe, Gina Lollobrigida type thing. And Darwin Cook draws women like that. He draws them almost like pinup characters, but not in a way that feels super objectifying. Like probably the spiritual successor to him in that way is oh my God, why am I blanking? Her work is right behind me.
Give me a book.
I was gonna say, now I'm genuinely curious who you.
Oh my God.
You're talking about Elsa Chartier? Yeah.
Oh sure.
Yeah. Elsa Chartier. I was like, I just talked about this on the Wictive Uncovered show with Tia. Like, I know this name. So it's like that kind of like type of art that works really well in telling a story in this time period, because you look at art like that and you're like, yes, the 50s, the 60s, a little bit.
Darwin is so good at making people that look attractive but do not look, it doesn't turn into a,
it's not like gross
leering and
like his like anything he did with Catwoman was just incredible in that way, because she is a sexy character, and he was like, yeah, she's a sexy character, but you didn't feel like weird about it,
right. She's
like,
a sexy character, but not, she's a sexy it's like, okay. It's, sometimes like you look at other people's drawings and you're like, okay buddy, calm down.
You're like, oh, you traced porn for that.
You drew this for you to look at.
No, so I like that it's like, it's fun to look at. It's like a lot of different things coming together. If you're a person who watches more comic book movies than you do read comic books, if you liked X-Men First Class, you will love The New Frontier. It's like that kind of story.
Doesn't this literally have its own movie, I think? Am I imagining
they did an animated version that you can watch on HBO, I think. Yeah. I haven't seen it because I was just like, why would you animate this?
It's not. No.
So,
Zach, have you read anything else by Darwin Cook, or is this your
first? This is my first.
Fascinating.
Yes. So I just knew the name, and like people laud his work, and so I was like, okay, I should read this.
Well, after you do this, you're going to read Selena's Big Score, which is about Catwoman, but she's like not in her costume at all. It's just like a sexy heist.
Oh.
And then you're going to read Ego and Other Tales, which is like a bunch of short stories that he did in the DC universe.
Absolutely. I will do that.
And
I'll report back.
Parker, which is a much more despicable person, but equally compelling book that got turned into an absolutely terrible movie. My God, who read that and said Jason I don't. Fuck it, whatever. Anyway, Parker is great. I mean, Parker as a book is great. Parker as a person is awful. But you should check it out.
Sometimes that makes for the best stories is the awful people.
It's good.
I saw a sticker that I bought in a bookshop last week. It said, "I still read fairy tales, but for the villains now." It's like isn't that not all of us? Like like all your favorite characters are pieces of shit that you would never ever want to interact with in real life, but reading them you're like, ooh, you're so fun.
So true.
All right, any final thoughts for our spooky season roundup, Zach, Nick?
No, I think we've probably covered everything. Everybody get out there and buy your 20-foot skeleton. It's
only
time.
reason I don't have that one, Nick, is because I don't have the storage space for it.
That's why you leave it up year round. I have a friend that does that. It's just part of his house.
Uh-oh.
Don't plant seeds, Zach. You can't plant them.
I'm guessing he's not in an HOA. Just
no, he is not. He's definitely not.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Go out and finish your Halloween decorations and pick up some spooky comics to read in this next week of the glorious finale of spooky season. I want to thank Zach and Nick for joining me today. I want to thank Mike for producing and for letting me run the show about a topic that I love so much. I want to thank Paul for proof listening and Xander for editing. Thank you for listening. Thanks to our Patreons. Thanks to the people hanging out with us on Discord today. And until next time, comics are good, and so are you.